What's up, everybody? How's it going? Um, it's Josh. Nice to be streaming again. Just gonna make a short video. I don't know how often they're gonna stay true to my word and actually wind up short, but we'll see. So I've been doing a lot of messing around, trying to come up with models that rely heavily on StatCast stats, and that's been really fun. Led me to a few situations that worked in my favor DFS wise, um, and I wanted to get back to Fangraphs and see what I can do with what Fangraphs has to offer. I think that's what most people use is Fangraphs, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with Fangraphs. It's amazing, but the way that you can dig in to very fine questions, very specific questions on baseball savant, Statcast related pieces, it's hard to beat. And Fangraphs certainly offers a lot, but doesn't offer a lot of the same data that Baseball Savant does. But Fangraphs has a lot, and one of the things that's always been popular among fantasy baseball players and analysts is hard hit rate, medium hit rate, and soft hit rate, contact, rather contact, hard contact, medium contact, soft contact. So, what I'm trying to do here with this particular model that I've whipped up for the main slate FanDuel tonight, you can definitely apply it if you use DraftKings or Fantasy Draft, but pricing and positions, it's FanDuel specific. So here's what I did. What I've done is I have my model page that you're looking at right here, and then I have a bats source page and a pitcher source page, sources for their data. And I'm calling this MGC. I'm calling it MGC because of these three columns here: Masher, Gapper, and Crusher. So I'm going to digress for a moment here and kind of talk about something that has been on my mind for a while, and that is, ISO. ISO is isolated power. As we all know, ISO is um, batting average minus slugging, or take away batting average from slugging. So if a guy slugs 500 and hits 300, he has a 200 ISO. It isolates power. The thing about ISO, though, is what kind of power. A guy could have 35, 45 doubles and 20 home runs, or a guy could have, 15 doubles and 35 home runs. That's just basically off the cuff, off the top of my head numbers. But my point is that a guy can have 250 ISO, and he may not be the same type of power hitter that another guy is. One guy might be like a high contact gap hitter, tons of doubles, decent number of home runs, and another guy might be a big swing and miss, relatively low contact slugger. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to isolate the mashers, right? The guys that hit home runs, and only in the masher column look at things like hard hit rate minus soft contact, fly ball rate. So does a guy hit a lot of fly balls? Does a guy hit a lot of hard contact? And does he minimize the soft contact? That's masher. I'll give you the exact formula in just a second. Gapper. I want to look at guys who hit a lot of line drives and have high contact rates and low soft contact. And Crusher is just averaging them together. If you as a batter can hit the gaps and hit doubles, lace, line drives to left center, right center field, accumulate a lot of doubles and minimize your swing and miss, get a lot of good contact, you're a gapper. And if you could slug, you're a masher. And if you could do both of them, then you are a crusher. So what this allows me to do, theoretically, is to figure out, okay, who does what? And when I'm making decisions in DFS, I can then look at the pitcher and say, okay, well, what does the pitcher do? Is the pitcher the kind of guy that minimizes like deep fly balls, home runs, but gets beat a little bit by, allowing for a lot of contact and allowing line drives? Or is he the type of guy that is really dominant, doesn't allow for a lot of contact, doesn't allow for a lot of line drives, but has the propensity once in a while to give up a home run? Or does he do neither? And I want to kind of mush them together and find good matchups. So I want to do this stream first in one particular way. Before I go into this particular way of looking at this thought experiment, one thing I got to give a shout out to Fangraphs, the ISO Plus, or really the whole suite of plus stats. So if you're familiar with WRC Plus or ERA minus, you know that those are taking WRC RC and runs created and giving it and putting it towards the league average, right? ERA minus, looking at ERA against the league average. So if a guy is a 150 WRC plus, it means that he's 50 points higher than the league average. If he is an ERA minus of 50, then he is 50 points better than the league average. The league average, of course, is always 100. 100 is the baseline. And so I love ISO plus and swinging or pull plus. How does the guy pull the ball against the league average? So if you're interested in a new way of looking at stats, I highly recommend the plus stats on Fangraphs. You can make your own plus stats however, by using the formula percent rank on Google Sheets or Excel and just taking a column of data, doesn't matter what it is, and just doing percent rank, and then instead of 100 being the league average, 50 will be the league average. So it's up to you. I do percent rank a lot. Okay, so let's look at this column here. Let's get to the good stuff. All right, this column here, ISO plus, it's kind of redundant. I could have just done ISO, but this is ISO plus percent rank. So in hindsight, it probably is it's pointless of me to have ISO plus as a percent rank. That said, everything you're looking at here is the last 30 days. I'm looking at data that's recent enough where it's capturing a lot of trends, but it's not too short where it's too small of a sample size. So a lot of these guys, the elite mainstay guys, are at 90, 100, 120 plate appearances in this span of time. And I think you can glean a lot, especially from contact quality, from a sample size of 100 plate appearances. anything more traditional like batting average or OPS, like then you're talking about 300 plate appearances where you can really start drawing conclusions that you can feel good about. So anyways, ISO plus, okay. Everything in this table is sorted by the batter's ISO plus over the last 30 days as a percent rank. So Will Smith, Adam Duvall, and Mike Trout are your top dogs at 100%. They're in the 100th percentile. They're better than everybody in the last 30 days. Doesn't matter about splits, lefty, righty. It just, all things considered, they're the best. Notice the one big difference here, though. I wish I could zoom in, but Will Smith, Adam Duvall, they've done it in 19 and 26 plate appearances respectively, while Mike Trout's done it in 96 plate appearances. Same deal if you drop down a little bit. Nelson Cruz in the 98th percentile and 93 plate appearances. But the Reds' young outfielder Josh Van Meter's done 98% and 42. Mitch Garver 98 and 70. So the point is a guy can have a great ISO, but you need to take it with a grain of salt if the plate appearances are low. But, with the way that some of these guys are hitting, like Duvall and Smith, you just got to ride that train until you get kicked off by, regression and variance. That said, they are certainly hitting the cover off the ball. Okay? So, Will Smith and Adam Duvall and Mike Trout. Those will be that's going to be our. Why don't we go 90th percentile and up? Let's filter these out. What are the blanks here? Oh yeah. Okay, so we're going to look at guys who have a ISO plus in the 90th percentile. Good. So it's only like 21 guys. Okay. So everyone listed here over the last 30 days, whether they've been in the league for the last 30 days, but just over the last 30 days, has put up an ISO that is in the 90th percentile, meaning they are better, at least better than 90% of the rest of the league over this span of time in regards to ISO. These guys are hitting for a ton of power. Okay? Now, what does their ISO mean? What does it look like outside of a spreadsheet? Well, let's sort it by Crusher. If you recall from the beginning of this stream, I said that Crusher is the average of Masher and Gapper. Again, Masher is looking at just raw power, home runs, fly balls, hard contact, and Gapper is looking at high contact, just high contact rate, line drives, minimizing soft contact. So you can see that there are a series of guys here at the top that in the last month, they've been doing everything right. Josh Van Meter, Will Smith, Jose Ramirez, Mike Trout, Danny Santana, Rafael Devers. So these guys are all in at least the 73rd percentile in the Masher column and 74th percentile in the Gapper column. So that means that they are basically hitting the ball with authority in more ways than one. They're hitting for high contact line drives better than 3/4 of the league over the last month, and they're hitting hard hit fly balls better than 3/4 of the league over the last month. So how do I determine this Masher score? Masher score is as follows. if I can get there. Where did I put it? Okay, masher, if you can see it right here. Basically what it is, it's fly ball rate plus hard minus soft. I got this from, oh my gosh, Mike, what's the two hats, one Mike guy? Two hats, one Mike. What is this guy's name again? Michael Leone. Michael Leone wrote a book that I got like a year or two ago. It's really good. Just on MLB DFS and stats to look at. And one of the things was taking the difference of hard and soft contact and then adding fly ball rate to it. And for this spreadsheet, for this exercise model, whatever, I'm going to call that their masher number. Okay? So picture a guy who hits a lot of hard contact and not a lot of soft contact and a ton of fly balls. He's going to have a really high masher score. You can feel good about him going against a home run prone pitcher. You can feel good about him going against anybody, really. The only hang up is if the opposition is really good at generating swings and misses. So that's when you got to be very selective. So in the case of today, Josh Donaldson, okay? Josh Donaldson, Adam Duvall, Nelson Cruz, Rougned Odor, Teoscar Hernandez, Mitch Garver, Eugenio Suarez, Cody Bellinger. Okay, these are all guys who have elite masher scores. They have the hard contact. They minimize the soft contact, and they hit a lot of fly balls. Hence, all the home runs they hit. Problem is they have low gapper scores. And the gapper formula is contact rate plus line drive rate minus soft contact. Okay? So I am isolating the quality line drives. Okay? Not interested in a 50 mile per hour line drive. I'm interested in an 80 or 90, 100 mile an hour line drive. And if you're going to hit a lot of line drives, you better make a lot of contact. Okay? The compromise, we got to get it through our heads, I think. I'm just throwing it out there. This isn't the law. The compromise we have to make is if we're going to pick a guy who doesn't necessarily bash the ball out of the yard, hit tons of fly balls, hit tons of hard contact, the compromise is well, you better hit a lot of gappers, you better hit a lot of line drives, and you better make a lot of contact. Because if you can't, then the only thing that is helping you with your DFS lineup is variance. I mean, variance affects everything we do in MLB DFS and DFS period. But you're really doing yourself a disservice by selecting guys that aren't hitting a lot of home runs hard or aren't hitting a lot of hard fly balls. And they also don't hit line drives with high contact rates. So if you can't have one, you want the other. And if you can't have neither, then the only reason you would pick that particular guy is if it's part of a stack. Okay, so let's look at some of these stories here. Check this out. Let's start with the pumpkins, okay? The beautiful unicorns that are ready to turn into a pumpkin. Okay, Max Kepler. Max Kepler, just based on this model, based on the model alone. Okay? I haven't dug in any deeper than these metrics. Max Kepler's ISO is in the 90th percentile, but his masher and gapper scores are, the masher score is league average, and the gapper score is in the bottom third for a crusher score of 41%. So, Max is certainly having himself a season, but this just tells me perhaps there is some power regression due. The benefit that he has is that he's hitting ahead of Nelson Cruz, and Mitch Garver and Jorge Polanco, and he's part of an elite offensive unit this year. The Twins are insane. But looking at this, I get a little worried about Max Kepler in the wrong matchup. So in this particular matchup, I like him against Glenn Sparkman because he's got the lefty-righty matchup. And one thing I've read is, and I wish I could give you the source for it, but as far as splits go, pay more mind to lefty hitters versus righty pitchers than righty hitters versus lefty pitchers. On the whole, the lefty hitter versus righty pitcher, there's more of a pronounced advantage for the hitter over the pitcher than for the righty hitter versus the lefty pitcher. In other words, you can get away with a righty-righty matchup more often than you can a lefty-lefty matchup. And there's exceptions, Charlie Blackmon, Christian Yelich. I mean, those are two lefties that they're elite bats, but that they don't struggle really against lefty pitchers. But the point is that a guy like Max Kepler strikes me as someone that I am not going to take the split situation lightly. And I just wonder if this second half is going to see a little regression. Again, he's protected by his lineup mates, but, he's certainly someone that can regress a bit. Keon Broxton, okay, 25 plate appearances over the last month. So, that's like a little over a week's worth for a full-time player. So right there is a huge red flag. The ISO plus in the 91 percentile. Okay, that's awesome. Way to go, Keon. But his masher, gapper, crusher scores are abysmal. So this is a guy who is going to be turning into a pumpkin very quickly. I haven't looked at any other statistics in this, so I don't know what anything else is looking like. But as an Orioles fan, I know that, and just a baseball fan in general, I know Keon Broxton, elite, sick outfielder, top center fielder in the league, one of the top guys all around. But, and then on the base pass, he can steal bags and he's fast, but can't hit. So this is the kind of guy where I see those masher and gapper numbers and I'm like, damn. And then I see that ISO number and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. That's pretty, interesting disparity there. So I am going to put more emphasis on the masher and gapper scores because, the bottom line is he is getting lucky, it seems. And if I dug in more, I would imagine he would demonstrate that. Rafael Devers. Very good masher score, very good gapper score. Crusher score of 76 is good. So what this tells me is that he hits for power with the masher score, and he hits with authority, meaning, and by authority, I'll define hitting with authority as high contact and meaningful hits that aren't hard hit fly balls. Okay. Again, I want to emphasize there's guys out there, kind of those 3 true outcome guys, that they hit amazing moonshot, home run, fly ball, hard hit, but they can't hit with authority. They don't have a high contact rate. They don't really do anything else other than hit home runs. And so, are they going to hit 40 home runs? Yeah, sure. But on a day-to-day basis, consistency is a little concerning with them. So Rafael Devers, he is definitely a guy that gives you the best of both worlds according to this metric. And he's facing James Paxton. So number one, I'm worried about that lefty-lefty matchup. Definitely want to be careful with lefty-lefty matchups. And Rafael Devers splits, I'm pretty sure, are not that great against lefties, if memory serves me correctly. I mean, they're not awful, but 746 OPS against lefties versus a 1031 against righties. So he, in this matchup, is pretty sneaky, though. I doubt that he's going to be heavily owned at all. But James Paxton is not going to pitch all 9 innings. He's going to wind up facing a righty, perhaps, or not. But yeah, Devers, he gives you the best of both worlds. But then you look at Trey Mancini. Okay, so Trey Mancini. So this is an interesting little case study of Broxton, Devers, and Mancini. Well, I guess we should take Broxton out of the equation. Well, yeah, okay, we'll take him out of the equation. So you look at Devers versus Mancini, both 91 percentile, both, good enough in the plate appearances. But Mancini, far more of a masher than a gapper. So even though both of them have a similar ISO, Mancini is more concerning in a vacuum, regardless of this matchup here, because he strikes out more than Devers, far lower contact. Whether it's the contact, whether it's the line drives, I don't know. But if I'm picking between Devers and Mancini, forgetting about splits, forgetting about team, forgetting about matchup, I'm probably going to have to go with Devers just because he offers more in the area of contact and line drives with the gapper score. So hopefully this is all starting to make sense, combining these metrics to parse out the details of a batter's ISO. So let's get to some good stuff here. Let's look at a couple position situations. Let's look at second base. So first we'll start by ISO plus. And Rougned Odor, top dog among them all. 94th percentile ISO. But man, oh man, like that is a disparity if I've ever seen one. Masher versus gapper. 94th percentile masher, 16th percentile gapper. So you need to make damn sure that he is in the right matchup. He cannot be facing a guy that minimizes opposing gappers. If you, on the other side, see a pitcher with a low gapper score facing Rougned Odor, you probably want to stay away from Odor. Odor, in order to mash the ball, needs to make contact with the ball. And if he can't, then he's probably not going to do much else. Well, this is a great matchup. Number one, I know that Odor is solid against opposing lefties. I know that he has a WRC plus north of 100. Um, and he's going against Tyler Alexander. He's only faced 66 batters total. So about 3 games worth of batters. But he's allowed a 91 percentile Gapper score. What that tells me is that he's allowing high contact and or most likely he's allowing a lot of line drives. So Odor is not going to be facing someone who's going to minimize that good, solid, authoritative contact. And then he can go to that plate appearance against Alexander, 2-3 plate appearances against Alexander, and, hopefully take that 94th percentile masher score and hit one out of the park. So I like him a lot tonight as a highly volatile GPP option. Odor at second base, no less. Now, you know me, I love stacking. I stack 99% of the time. Are you going to want to stack the Texas Rangers against anybody these days? I mean, it's a little scary with no Joey Gallo out there, but Odor's in a nice individual spot nonetheless. Austin Nola, he's also been hitting the cover off the ball. The gap between his masher and gapper score is a lot narrower than Odor, but it's still a bit of a disparity. Definitely above average masher, but he, roughly is more of a masher than a gapper hitter. And he's done it in 61 plate appearances. That's not nothing, but it's low enough where you can say, okay, like 86 percentile ISO, like maybe he's going to regress a bit to like this mid 60s, perhaps lower. But, Nola, he can slug it, but he's going against Wade Miley. And yeah, he's got the righty-lefty matchup, but Wade Miley, 45th percentile masher score. So is Wade Miley going to strike a ton of guys out? No. Is he going to, finish the game with 8 innings pitched and 10 Ks and dominate? Absolutely not. But what he can do is he can spoil your fun with your opposing stack and minimize the quality contact. So is Austin Nola a high power guy as of now? Yes, he is. And he's cheap too, 2,700. But this isn't the matchup for me. Jose Altuve, this is an interesting one. Okay. We all know that Altuve has been hitting out of his mind lately. We all know that he destroys left-handed pitching. 78th percentile ISO plus. So he's basically better than everybody as far as second basemen go for, the most part. 106 plate appearances is nice too. You got that sample size. Not that we would expect a lower one from Altuve, but it's weird. Low masher, low gapper, and low crusher, all kind of hovering around league average. So what gives? What gives? Well, first of all, he, like I said, destroys lefties. Jose Altuve splits. I'm pretty sure they're a big disparity. I can't remember exactly how big, but I know that his lefty splits are just ridiculous. Versus left. So yeah, 1305 OPS against lefties and a 776 against righties. So that's the thing, is he's got 231 at-bats against right-handed pitchers and 63 against lefties. So I'm not surprised that these numbers are low here. Most of his contact is going to come out as looking low, and that's a problem because it can confuse us a little bit. We'd look and we'd see, if we're just looking at these Masher and Gapper metrics, and be like, Altuve, 42, 52, 47, like, I'm staying away. The 78 ISO plus is like, well, hold on a second. Let me look a little deeper here. And then, you go and you look at those splits and you're like, oh, damn. Okay. Well, who's he facing tonight? Yusei Kikuchi, the lefty, with the 71 percentile Masher score. Yeah. Altuve is going to hit a dong tonight. And if he doesn't, he's going to hit 2 doubles. I mean, he's going to do something. He's going to get an extra base hit. Like, I am slamming the over. If there was a bet out there for a 0.5, 0.5, whatever you want to call it, for extra base hits for Altuve, like, I'm taking the over. Give me that. Altuve against Kikuchi. Forget about it. Those splits. And that's one of the downsides about this. The way I have it right now is I'm not paying attention to splits. And I might add that, but I wanted to get this idea on this spreadsheet so that I don't forget it. But yeah, like, worrisome Masher, Gapper, Crusher, but, we also knew that Altuve is not, his game is just not about mashing the ball. A lot of the doubles he creates, I imagine, also from his speed too. So, and he pulls the ball like crazy against lefties as well. So that's another good thing for him. Okay, moving along. Same thing with Robinson Cano. Like, what's the deal here? Maybe some power regression from these guys. What's the most home runs Altuve has hit in a season? Because he's got 16 with 2 months to go. I feel like it's not a lot of time. Yeah, 24. Okay. So yeah, like, he's going to hit 20 home runs just purely based on his, bat skills. But I guess with the Masher, Gapper scores, I guess like having that ISO plus in there or whatever you want to call it is good because it adds a little context to these two numbers. So, okay, Ozzie Albies. Ozzie Albies is outstanding when it comes to these metrics. Jason Kipnis, outstanding when it comes to these metrics. Problem is with Kipnis is he has a 39% ISO plus. Like, what does that tell us? Okay, it's telling us that he hits the ball hard. He hits a lot for a lot of contact, but not much is coming of it. Albies, the opposite. So I would be a little apprehensive to draw conclusions from those numbers with them. Okay, I've got a crying baby. I gotta go. But I'm glad that I got to share this with you guys, and all the best of luck to you tonight. Take care.